I'm Susie from Out West Homestead. Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. So this morning I'm going to talk about when I was hiking in the desert. Nowadays people got drones and they can go out and scout around, look ahead, and that'd be nice to have. But when I go out, I have the dogs with me, and it's usually Blue. I keep an eye on him, and he can smell anybody around, or coyote or oryx. But mostly I rely on is crows. The crows, they're tattletales, and they police the land out there. That's their land. And I can hear them from a distance when they're really upset. And I do watch the dogs. There's sometimes the dogs can tell that something's going on. And so I always listen to the crows and see what they're, saying. If I hear the crows upset this way, I'll just go that way. And I don't know if it's a person out there, or a coyote, or oryx, or deer. But I don't want to take the dogs around if the coyotes and stuff out there. And so one day, not too long ago, right out here, across the way, boy, the crows were so upset, and all the dogs ran over there by the fence, and they got their hair up on their back, and they knew, the crows are saying something's out there, and I could see them hanging down low, and so I thought maybe it might be coyotes, but you never know. So when I go out there hiking, I listen for crows. But sometimes I'll hear a big old pack of coyotes, out. So when I hear them, I'll just go to a different direction because I don't want the dogs, be fighting coyotes. And I've had encounters with coyotes, and what they try to do is draw your dogs away. And Bill's working on that shed still. So the dogs will try to chase them off, and what happens, one or two coyotes come back around by me. Well, I chase them off, but they sneak around and think that they can get me. But I let them know right quick, you're not going to get me. And that's how they do. They work, draw the dogs off, and then other members come around where you're at. And so luckily we hadn't had no real bad trouble with them. So I just tell them get, act real mad. And I do always carry my backup just in case. And so I've had them chase my dogs, and then my dogs chase them like a game. But sometimes it can get serious, so you just have to watch it with them. But one time I was hiking out there across the ditch, and on that side, and it was a lot more grassy, so the path was kind of growed up, so I was really looking down at the trail, and that way I don't step on no rattlesnake. And the dogs, they were just out, looking around, and I walked right up on a herd of oryx. So I stopped, and because I was surprised. I mean, they were just, not too far from the truck. So when I stopped to look at them, and they were looking at me, I guess they seen me, all right. But when I stopped and looked at them, once I looking at them in their face, they all took off. And luckily the dogs weren't close to them because, you know, we've heard they're pretty uh, rough. You know, they're not like a sheep. They'll come get you. And there was a picture of one, and we probably mentioned it before, that somebody took a picture of an oryx out, and it was standing there and had, because the oryx antlers go up like this, just straight up, and they have a spiral look to them, their antlers. They had a dead coyote on them antlers, and it was stuck on his antlers, walking around with that dead coyote. So I'm sure they'll jab the dog. You know, that's their weapon. Them antlers are, you know, they're like great big, real long. I found an old pair over here. If I remember, I'll take a picture of it. I got them hanging up outside. But we ran across, when we was hiking the foothills, a dead oryx, and it looked like it'd been shot, and they didn't go after it. They just let it go, and it just died out there. So we got the antlers from it, or horns. I think they're horns. I don't think they drop off. I think they're just horns. So one time, when I was walking out in the desert, I was walking by the ditch, and there was a branch poking out of the ditch, and there was two crows on there sitting next to each other. It's amazing the things, you know, you see out there. But so I thought, well, I wonder what that's right next to that crow. Surely it's not a brown crow, because one was black, one was brown. So when I got closer, I got, you know, pretty close before they took off. But it was a hawk sitting right by a crow. They weren't sitting like this, they were sitting like this. Like friends. And I never knew that a crow and a hawk would be friendly like that. They just sitting there visiting with each other, and I've never seen it before in my life. So if you ride horses out there, horses can spot movement real easy, a lot better than you can. And they might smell better too, because they'll look like, what's that? You know, they just go, like, what is that? And even up in the mountains, they can see deer in the woods. We'll be about right up on a big old deer, and they'll stay put and in the tree line, but once we look at them, the deer take off. It's something about the eye contact. Once you stare at them, they're gone. But anyway, the horses can see them. And down here, we got this blue jay. It's like a turquoise looking blue jay. It's real pretty. I see them once in a while, but where they come from the foothills. That's where you'll see them mostly. And then up in the mountains, and then blue jays, they'll tail on you. They see you, they tail. And up in the mountains, the same way. They got they'll tail on you. So if we're riding a horse up in the mountains and we can hear one of them start hollering, you know, we watch it. It could be a person or a bear or something. You know, which we do run across bears once in a while. One time we was riding the ridge line up there on the mountains, and we got off this mountain road and just got on the ridge line, and we could hear a motorcycle, like a dirt bike down there on that dirt road, but we were up higher, and so we could hear something running through the woods, and it was a big old buck, and he didn't see us, but that motorcycle scared it up. And a lot of wild animals, when they get scared, they go uphill, and so that's what they done. So in a little bit, we would just stand there with our horses, you know, let that buck running through, and then a little bit, here come a bear, and he was running too. And I thought, golly, that motorcycle's shooing all the wild animals up our way. And the horses look like, oh my gosh, what is that? You know. And one time we was taking the horses up there and we had them in a horse trailer, and there was a bear on the side of the road, kind of like a little dry creek bed. And I didn't have a camera, and I wish I did, but we stopped to look at him, and he stood up on his feet, his, you know, two back feet. He stood up, and he looked right at us. I mean, we were just like, where that bush is, just a little bit, you know, he was right there. I thought, golly, you're tall. And then he took off running, and he ran up the hill. But, you know, they got bears up there. They, people's had bears break into their house up in the mountains. So one time, this guy come in, and there was a bear in his house, and somehow he got his gun and he shot that bear right there in his house, but he just wounded it, and so he tracked it down because he didn't want a bear that was shot, you know, loose, and he tracked it down and killed it. So he went to the Forest Service and told them that bear was in the house and he shot it. I don't know if it was coming after him or what. I didn't hear that, you know, about it, but that part. But and he told the Forest Service where it was, and that he, you know, it's dead. Well, they arrested him. Oh wow, you're under arrest, fella, shooting a bear. But anyway, they did arrest him for hunting bear out of season. So I think he went to trial on that, and they dropped the charges. You know, the regular people, town people, they agreed with him. You don't mess with bears. And how you gonna shoot a bear out of your house anyway? Oh gosh. But anyway, they did arrest him for hunting a bear without, you know, license, out season, you know, just giving charges. But you don't know what bears will do. They might attack you. The old saying is, they won't hurt you if you don't hurt them. Well, that's a lie. Wild animals are wild animals. If you get an old bear that's hungry, you know, you look like a pretty good thing to eat. But a lot of times, you know, they don't tell you about the people getting killed by bears. There's a lot of stories where they'll attack a tent, pull people out of tent, jump on them, get them, try to eat them, you know. And there's a lot of stories when people camp out in their sleeping bag. The bear pull them right out, grab them, take them to the woods, and everybody's trying to beat the bear off a kid or something. So if you believe they don't hurt you just because you don't bother them, well, you're going to have to find out different. But anyway, so don't shoot bears out of hunting season, even if they're in your house. But so the other subject is wolves. They got it so much against the law of shooting wolves, mostly in western New Mexico. The population is just terrible about wolves. I believe, and I get griped at my thinking here. They just got a wolf program that keeps that wolf program alive, so people can make money, you know, raising babies. and then they bring the wolves out to the west and dump them off. We're just dumping grounds for that wolf program. And people get tired of it because the wolves, they kill their dogs. Uh, it's a mess. One rancher come out to his barn, and a wolf was inside the barn dragging a baby coat out of the barn. And then this Great Pyrenees, he was out with some sheep out there, and he found that the wolves just tore his Great Pyrenees to bits. They just shredded him. And anyway, the wolf problem in New Mexico is getting pretty bad. Some bus stops that's out in the country, they built cages for their kids to be at the bus stop because of them wolves. And then they're hanging around schools, and it's a mess, and people have to put up with it. But for some reason, they think we need the population come back. They just about wiped out areas of elk altogether, deer, and they hit the ranchers. You know, the cows are the easiest thing to get. But I could go on forever on that. That's a bad idea, what they're doing. And they make stories out like how wonderful it is to put the wolf back in nature. It just helps nature so much. You talk to the rancher about it, asking how his mama cows are getting ate up, and them babies are getting ate up and ripped to pieces. But anyway, so up in the mountains, there's a place up there, and they had a little country store up there, and then we stopped there one time, and Bill went in that store, a real pretty place, and they had hummingbird feeders out, and I've never seen it before in my life. They had the most beautiful hummingbirds. They were yellows and reds and blues and just beautiful hummingbirds. So down here we just kind of get the plain looking one, and then the foothills they get this copper hummingbird. And it's funny how different levels the hummingbirds are. And once in a while, one of them copper ones will come over here from the foothills, and what they are, they're mean. Them are, they run into the other ones. They're just fighters, and I mean they'll come and just go bow. They'll just hit them. The ones around here, they're real aggressive. But it's just like the blue jays, how we got different colors, and then up in the mountains they're different. And the hummingbirds are like that too. Each one of them has their own habitat. And that's pretty cool. Well, that's all I can think about right now, so I appreciate y'all coming by and watching from Out West Homestead. Thank you a lot. Bye.